In this lesson, we're going to review the offset course in further detail by expanding on the examples from our previous lesson, offset formula and its importance to navigate in Excel sheets. We're going to use different methods to generate dynamic code with a combination of the offset, SUMIF, and CountA formula. So let's review the typical use cases of these common formula within the VBA code. The SUMIF formula is commonly used in our calculations. We need the SUMIF formula to compute data from a set of unique characteristics. We'll need to understand how to modify the code to make it dynamic so that if our database report columns shift their location, then the SUMIF formula is able to track the relevant criteria range and sum range columns. Moreover, we need to understand that SUMIF formula is computational and it can make your Excel sheet very heavy. If we automate Excel to paste the SUMIF formula over a number of rows, we need to ensure that all the rows in the data are covered by the formula and the formula is dynamic enough to detect changing rows based on different database reports. This is where the CountA formula integration with the height component of the offset formula will be useful. We will expand the example from our previous lesson, offset formula, and its importance to navigate in Excel sheets. In our example, we had 3 different database reports. In the first 2 reports, our main goal was to copy the agent names column and then paste it on column G and then use the remove duplicates function to get unique agent names. In the third database report, our goal was to paste the agent names column to 4 columns forward from the last column of the database report. We therefore made sure that the agent names column is detected by our code and then it's pasted into the relevant column, and then the remove duplicates was performed on that column to give unique agent names. In our example, we have a policy sales column. The policy sales column also shifts its position depending on the database reports and how they differ. We want to use the SUMIF formula next to the unique agent names and paste the formula to all the unique rows that contain unique agent names to calculate the total policy sales made by agent. And we want to do that on an agent by agent basis. There are 3 complexities that we're going to run into and that will occur with the SUMIF formula and the changing database reports. The first complexity is that to use the SUMIF formula, we want Excel to detect the location of the SUMIF column. It will be column H for the first 2 reports as the agent names will be pasted on column G. However, for the third report, the agent names depend on the number of columns of the SUMIF formula, and we'll want the VBA code to automatically update the location of the SUMIF formula column. The second complexity is that we also want to update the code so that it detects the changing column locations of the agent's name column and the policy sales column in the different reports. It's important to detect them because they both will form part of the SUMIF formula criteria range and the sum range component respectively. The third complexity is that to paste the SUMIF formula on all unique agent names, we need to know how many unique values there are. In some of the reports, there can be a possibility of fewer or more unique agent names. This will make our formula less dynamic. Therefore, we want to have the code updated so that it detects all the agent names first and then paste the formula according to that. We will use the amended VBA code in our example from a previous lesson. We're doing this so that we don't have to do the same task all over again. VBA can be reused after you write it. We will only focus on the part of using the SUMIF formula on column H to detect the criteria range, i.e. the agent names column, and the sum range policy sales column. Now we'll record our macro using relative reference, but we'll start recording with cell G1 as our active cell because we're continuing the code from our previous example and we want it to work in continuity. We will select cell H1 and put heading policy sales and then select cell H2 and input the SUMIF formula. Our criteria range will be the agent names column. Criteria will be the unique agent names of column G, and the sum range will be the policy sales column. From the code, we can see that the SUMIF formula gives reference to columns based on their direction from its starting position. The agent names column is located 6 columns to the left. The criteria is 1 column to the left, and the policy sales column is 5 columns to the left. As all the relevant columns are on the left of column H, the values are denoted with a negative sign. We want to make this part of the code dynamic so that if the agent names and the policy sales column change columns, they are still detected by the SUMIF formula. We want to first change the agent names column and policy sales column into a table so that the whole range can be easily referred within a formula. This will help us in writing the VBA code. We will select the agent column and then go to the Insert tab and select Table. A window will appear defining the range. We then select OK. We then do the same for the policy sales column. We will proceed in a similar way as before, as we are assuming that we have already converted our agent names and policy sales columns as tables. We'll first select the next cell to the unique agent names and make the header as policy sales. We will then enter the SUMIF formula, where we will select criteria range as the agent name table and sum range as the policy sales table. The benefit of this formula is that the SUMIF formula will locate where the respective tables are regardless of their column position. Another benefit of using this method is that as the copy and paste functions copy the tables, the SUMIF formula will act on the entire range so that you don't have to copy the formula and paste it on the remaining rows. This is helpful, especially when you don't know the number of rows of unique agent names you will get every time within your database report. The formula will detect that itself and paste it on the remaining rows. This will also reduce the amount of code lines. We can also use the CountA function with the offset height component to paste the SUMIF code dynamically against unique agent names. After putting the SUMIF formula, we will copy the SUMIF formula and paste it on the remaining rows containing the unique agent names. We will only record the macro by copying cell H2 and paste the result to the remaining columns. The limitation of the VBA code generated is that the range is defined for pasting the copied SUMIF formula. If we want the same code on a database report that has more unique agent names, then the formula will be limited and we will have to manually amend the code every time. We will therefore amend the code in 2 ways. The logic behind this method is that we want to use the CountA function to compute the number of rows in the unique agent name column. This will help us make a dynamic selection, because if the rows vary, the count will show a related result. We then deduct 2 from the code because we want to exclude the header and the first agent name because it already contains the SUMIF formula. We will then build this portion inside the height component of the offset function. What this will do is that it will define a lookup range instead of a single cell. We will start the offset with cell H3, which is the first cell below the SUMIF formula. We can then also use the record macro function in a way that it automatically records a VBA code that fulfills our purpose without having to code with complicated formula combination. We will copy the SUMIF formula and then navigate to the left cell with the keyboard arrow key. Then press Ctrl plus the down arrow, which will then take us to the end of the list. We will then press the right arrow key and press the Shift plus Ctrl plus up arrow key to select all the empty cells in the range. We will then paste the formula on the selected empty cell. Now let's look at the formula that is generated. You can see that the formula totally uses the relative reference and goes from the start of cell to the end so that any new agent names will also be automatically selected through this technique. This is much easier than the offset height and CountA method. We have looked at many ways of amending VBA codes so that you can make them more dynamic. We will share that best code that will give you the dynamic result. You'll first have to convert agent column and policy columns into a table. We've covered a lot as to how to use multiple techniques to design macro codes in a way that you can automate your tasks easily. Now that you're confident with VBA as an interface, you're ready to dive into the world of VBA. We'll start explaining the VBA interface in detail in upcoming lessons so that you can create customized solutions for your needs. Hey guys, thanks for watching this lesson. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, I'd really appreciate a like and subscribe from you. And if you want to learn more about Microsoft Excel, check out these videos above. And don't forget to check out our website, commercecurve.com, where we have lots of in-depth finance and accounting courses available with full training workbooks. All of our courses come with complete workbooks of lessons, examples, pre-built financial models, and training video. Hope to see you there.